and suddenly I was in the palace of the gods. Huge beings swirled around me, changing shape from human to animal to pure energy. On a throne in the center of the room sat a muscular African man in rich black robes. He had a handsome face and warm brown eyes. His hands looked strong enough to crush rocks. The other gods celebrated around him. Music played, a sound so powerful that the air burned. At the man's side stood a beautiful woman in white, her belly swollen as if she were a few months pregnant. Her form flickered. At times she seemed to have multicolored wings. Then she turned in my direction and I gasped. She had my mother's face. She didn't seem to notice me. In fact, none of the gods did, until a voice behind me said, "Are you a ghost?" I turned and saw a good-looking boy about 16, dressed in black robes. His complexion was pale, but he had lovely brown eyes like the man on the throne. His black hair was long and tousled, rather wild, but it worked for me. He tilted his head, and it finally occurred to me that he'd asked me a question. I tried to think of something to say. Excuse me, hello, marry me, anything would have done. But all I could manage was a shake of the head. Not a ghost, eh? He mused. A ba then? He gestured towards the throne. Watch, but do not interfere. Somehow, I wasn't interested in watching the throne so much, but the boy in black dissolved into a shadow and disappeared, leaving me no further distraction. Isis, said the man on the throne. The pregnant woman turned towards him and beamed. My lord Osiris, happy birthday. Thank you, my love, and soon we shall mark the birth of our son, Horus, the Great One. His new incarnation shall be his greatest yet. He shall bring peace and prosperity to the world. Isis took her husband's hand. Music kept playing around them, gods celebrating, the very air swirling in a dance of creation. Suddenly, the palace doors blew open. A hot wind made the torches sputter. A man strode into the hall. He was tall and strong, almost a twin to Osiris, but with dark red skin, blood-colored robes, and a pointed beard. He looked human, except for when he smiled. Then his teeth turned to fangs. His face flickered, sometimes human, sometimes strangely wolf-like. I had to stifle a scream, because I'd seen that wolfish face before. The dancing stopped. The music died. Osiris rose from his throne. Set, he said in a dangerous tone, why have you come? Set laughed, and the tension in the room broke. Despite his cruel eyes, he had a wonderful laugh, nothing like the screeching he'd done at the British Museum. It was carefree and friendly, as if he couldn't possibly mean any harm. I come to celebrate my brother's birthday, of course, he exclaimed, and I bring entertainment. He gestured behind him. 4 huge men with the heads of wolves marched into the room, carrying a jewel-encrusted golden coffin. My heart began to race. It was the same box that Set had used to imprison my dad at the British Museum. No, I wanted to scream, don't trust him! But the assembled gods oohed and ahed, admiring the box, which was painted with gold and red hieroglyphics, trimmed with jade and opals. The wolfmen set down the box, and I saw that it had no lid. The interior was lined with black linen. This sleeping casket, Set announced, was made by my finest craftsmen, using the most expensive materials. Its value is beyond measure. The god who lies within, even for a night, will see his powers increase tenfold. His wisdom will never falter. His strength will never fail. It is a gift. He smiled slyly at Osiris. For the one and only God who fits within perfectly. I wouldn't have queued up first, but the gods surged forward. They pushed each other out of the way to get at the golden coffin. Some climbed in but were too short. Others were much too big. Even when they tried to change their shapes, the gods had no luck, as if the magic of the box were thwarting them. No one fit exactly. Gods grumbled and complained as others anxious to try pushed them to the floor. Set turned to Osiris with a good-natured laugh. Well, brother, we have no winner. Will you try? Only the best of the gods can succeed.